Welcome to Timeline, the show that unpacks the issues shaping our world and where we get to prefer solutions to make the globe a better place. I am your host, Sharon Ajay, and of course with me as always,
Hannah Humokafedini is always excited to be on the show preferring solutions.
Well, today we're going to be talking about digital divide, bridging the gap. And of course, we have a guest with us in the studio to help dig deep into this conversation we are about to have. We'll be going on a short break, and when we return, Timeline continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Timeline. We have a guest with us who is a development practitioner with Connected Development. Amina Oyayi Bello, it's good to have you in the studio with us, man.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, just like I stated before we went on a break, I'll be talking about digital divide, bridging the gap. We are in a world driven by technology, and access to digital tools and the internet is an essential thing. It's no longer a luxury. It's a necessity because we basically now need the internet for our daily activities, education, job opportunities, and all of that. But the sad thing is that we still have lots of people not being able to access the internet or even having digital skills. And that is why we are having this conversation. How can we create inclusivity for everyone? How can we take everyone along to make sure that we have literally everybody having access to the internet? Now, to just put out a statistics, the International Telecommunications Union stated that for high-income countries, about 93% of the population are currently online. That was a report of about 2024. And then for low-income country, to compare, we have just like 27% of the population online. You could see the margin, it's quite wide. And just like I stated, we are having that conversation to know what the reason is and what can be done to make sure that we are having equality in accessing the internet, right, Omukafe?
Yes, Sharon, we get to see just how much the internet's connectivity access is widening the gap between people who have and people who do not have, and not just people themselves, but also countries, also communities, also culture. And like you said, this is why we are here. We get to see why this thing is, why is it going wide by the day? What are the solutions that we can proffer, and how can we go from this particular place that we're in?
Rightly said. Now, Amina, let's come to you, please. I would like you to explain what digital divide is in a very simple term, and why is it so important in our world today?
Thank you for having me. This conversation is timely. It's long overdue, and it's so thank you for bringing this to the table. First off, I need us to understand that communication is power. Communication is key. And what makes the world evolve is communication. Now, digital divide, I do not want us to see it as an alien or a novel concept or a novel issue. This is something that has been with us since the time of technology, like technological advancements. So when we talk about digital divide, there was a time we knew of landline, isn't it? We know of the table phone. And we all know that it's not all households that have access to table phone. So right from that moment, we have what is called digital divide. Now, coming to a contemporary world, we know that communication is something that is eminent. It's important in the works we do in our daily life, how we function. It is important that we get informed, and then we also disseminate information. And in simple terms, how do we do this thing? By using our smartphone. I'm sure you have a smartphone. You have, and I have one with me right now. So this is the most easiest and the layman way of seeing dissemination of communication, right? Of information, right? Now, digital divide is, we need to come to terms with the fact that not everybody have access to the smartphone. Not everybody have access to the internet. Not everybody have the know-how, the technical know-how, or even just the layman know-how of how to, use a smart gadget. So these are the issues that brings us to the table today while we're having this conversation as regards digital divide. These are the reasons why we have some people that have access to information, while we have others that do not have access. Now, there are various reasons why these things are with us today. There are various reasons, and I'm very sure that as the conversation goes on, we're going to explore why it's happening and what's the possible way of curbing this. I know that there's no 100% solutions or problem, because as the world develops, as we evolve, we're going to start having novel issues, just like we're having novel, innovative ideas. However, we need to devise ways to say, you know what, we're going to curb these issues to the purest minimum.
Definitely. This, what you just said right now, the ITU, that is the International Telecommunication Union, had reported in 2020 that over 37% of the world population still did not have access to internet connectivity, internet access. And this is definitely exposing the wide gap that we have as regards that. Which leads me to this question: why is the issue of digital divide still a problem in present day?
When we want to look at the reasons why we're having it as an issue presently, we need to look at it from two angles, like from the individual aspect, and then from what I would say the society, should I say the societal reasons why we have issues like this. Now, from individual, we know that some people just don't trust the internet, and they do not trust any device that can be connected to the internet. Yes, we have some people like that. And then we also have a society where access to internet is expensive, let's be honest. So to get data on your phone, you know how much it costs. Wi-Fi is still a luxury. Still a luxury in our community. And I do not want us to see it as, a Nigerian problem. Digital divide is actually a global issue, because I came upon a research that actually said over 2 billion, is it 2.6 billion individuals globally still do not have access to digital information, digitalized information. So what it tells you is it is not a Nigerian problem, it is not an African problem, it's a global problem. However, let's now streamline it to why the reasons why we have such issues in Nigeria, because we're trying to bring out solutions, be innovative as regarding solutions to this problem in Nigeria. We have economical issues, right? Not in every household. You cannot be certain that someone in a household, and I'm talking about the rural, not the urban setting right now, have enough money, say 8,000 naira to get how many gig? Maybe 2 gig internet on their phone. They might not be able to have that money to get internet. Secondly is not everybody knows how to operate a smartphone or a smart device. Not everybody have the ability to operate such device. Then we could also look at the access to this device, how expensive it is to get one. Not every person can afford having a phone or a computer or whatever device to be able to access internet.
Interesting. Talking about gaps, let's even take us back to COVID-19 era. The COVID-19 era literally unveiled a lot of challenges that specifically Africa region were facing, right? And of course, digital, the internet was one of it. We could see the lapses that it exposed in education, in business-wise and all of that. Some businesses had to close without, no transaction, no online transactions and all of that. And that's because some persons did not have access to internet. Let's even take India and, of course, Kenya as for an instance. They had, a very difficult situation when it comes to education because there was no access. Some of the communities, they had no access, to the internet, and that really posed as a serious challenge for them there. And now this leads me to the question: how does not accessing the internet pose as a challenge to education and learning?
So I'll tell you a story. I like telling stories.
Okay.
So there's this project ongoing that Connected Development is implementing in Bauchi State presently, and it's called the Girl Child Education Project. Now, this project, what we're trying to do with it is to ensure that girls have access to education, not just access to education, they get enrolled in school, they get retained in school, because we know that there's high rates of school dropouts in Bauchi State. So they get retained, and then they transit from the middle secondary school, that's the lower secondary school, to the upper secondary school, and then eventually to the higher institution. So that's the essence of this project. And the components of this project is called the mentorship components. Now, because we also realize that one of the reasons why girls don't get motivated to go to school is because they do not have a direct role model, someone to look up to say, you know what, if she can do it, and she's from my place, then I can do it. Because we feel more better, we feel more at ease when we see someone that speaks our language, looks like us, and is doing something. That means I can do it. So we came up with this idea and have mentors across Bauchi State. And now, these mentors are trained women. They are women that are meant to expose these girls to life skills and digital skills. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We realize that most of these girls do not even know how to power on a computer. And this is not hearsay. This is my direct experience. So we now had to start from the scratch, realizing that most of them in their school do not have ICT as a subject. Now, these are the gaps we're facing right on, like hands-on in our country. It's with us. It is living and breathing with us. It's going to sound awkward for someone that stays in an urban area. Most people in urban area to know that how would a girl in SS2, how does she not know how to power on a computer? But this is the reality of most people staying in a rural, in the rural area. So what did we do? We get computers for these girls and we start teaching them, train the trainee. We train the mentors on how to use digital devices, give them these digital devices for the girls, and then they start training the girls on how to use computer. Now, this is our own way of trying to, profound solutions to these issues. But I'm telling you of just one state and probably few local governments in that state. But when you want to look at it at a larger scale, there's no way you would want to tackle such issues without bringing in the government. So not just the government, but the private sectors as well. So it's like a collaboration, because of course the government cannot do it alone. What are we doing as individuals, as private sectors, as governments, to ensure that by the time we have our youths graduate from secondary school, they are at par with global expectations? What are we doing? And we're no more living in an analog age. It's a digitalized world. And I think it is important, not just, it's not necessary, but it is important, eminent, necessary, whatever word you want to use to emphasize it, that our kids should be exposed to the digital world.
Definitely. Just like you mentioned, what are individuals doing, and also organizations, and then what are the government doing? The UN body, together with ITU, that is the International Telecommunication Union, and UNDP had come together, and they said that we need over $2.6 trillion to $2.8 trillion to be able to ensure that people have internet connectivity by 2030. And to be able to do this, they need government leadership, they need government proposals, they need the strong backing of the government to be able to achieve these goals. So how do you think, or what ways should government come practically to ensure that young girls, young boys, older women, older men have access to internet connectivity?
Now, when you talk about digital divide, the most people that I would say are in the dark age, when I say dark age, please, I mean those that do not have access to technology, internet. Yes, there are few people in the urban setting, but most times we see these people in the rural world. The government needs to collaborate with traditional rulers, so it's not just the educational sector anymore. The traditional rulers, the religion rulers, leaders, we need to know the essence of the importance of why children should have access, not just children, but individuals, everyone should have access and know how to use a technology or technological device. Now, it will not be far-fetched to say that government should establish technological centers in each community. So where you have community technological centers, e-libraries in community, place where a young person in the community can go in and learn how to use computer, the usage of computer and smartphone. Subsidize the price of these gadgets for individuals, please, especially in the country. Let the price be subsidized and teach the young ones how to actually make money from this device. Some people work from their home and they work just from their phones, not even a computer, from their phone, and they're making a living out of it. So there's an economical implication to improving access to digital device. And I think the government have more to gain than whatever it is they are willing to invest in ensuring that individuals in the country have access to this to digital device. Another angle is that we've not even explored is the possibility of fake news flying around.
Misinformation, disinformation.
Thank you very much. Misinformation flying around. So you know how easy it would have been if everybody had access to information via the device, because most fake information and misinformation comes from hearsay. So imagine it's easy that someone has access to device, has subscribed to maybe a TV channel, for instance, and when the rumor flies into their ear, they just go and check, is this real? It's going to curb misinformation and fake news, the flying of fake news to the barest minimum. So, for instance, not just fake news, individuals will also have access to real-time information. One of our products from Connected Development is Facts About FAG. FAG is Federation Accounts Allocation Committee. So what we do is we look at the money that goes to the accounts of each local government in all states in Nigeria. And when we see the money, our duty is to amplify it, put this information out there so that those in the grassroots, everybody can have access to this information. And then it will now inform timely, accurate, and reasonable questions and dialogue with your government in the grassroots. Now, we have done our bit by putting the information out there. But what if the man in the grassroots, the farmer in the village, and the market woman do not have access to that information via digital device? Imagine if everyone had access to information. The level of which we would have to do door-to-door campaign will drop. So the advantages ways, in fact, it goes beyond just saying that for education or for it goes a long way. You spoke about during COVID. COVID is even far. Recently, because of the insurgency, some schools were asked to shut down abruptly. The schools in Bauchi State where my girls go, they just said, oh, Auntie Mimi, they call me Auntie Mimi, by the way. Oh, we've been asked to go back home. Now, we started asking questions. My organization asked questions. I remember we remember because the internet does not forget. So we remember that during the COVID time, they said they were, making mechanisms to ensure that those students that have been sent home still get access to education via devices. So we're asking them, we're reminding them, please bring back those devices so that those girls or those children that you're not asked to go home because of insurgency will not miss so much. So it's not a conversation of if it is good. We all know it is good. It's not a conversation of if it is safe. We know it is safe and it is necessary.
Rightly said, Amina. Just to add a word to what you've said, countries or government also can replicate what other governments have done. You see countries like Estonia, they've been able to invest largely into their broadband and also e-governance, and that has really helped to give digital services to virtually all their citizens, and that's a good plus, I would say. And if any country could replicate how they did that, then I think we'll be talking less about digital divide. We'll be going on a short break now, and when we return, Omo Cafe will take us through social commentary. Stay with us.
Culture, connects us beyond borders. It's a bridge between traditions, creativity, and the future.
Culture is alive, shaping identities and communities every day.
Art tells stories of resilience and vision.
Artists blend tradition with innovation.
Cultural preservation creates sustainability and empowerment.
Culture evolves and adapts.
Music and dance unites communities through movement.
And right here, in the heart of our cities, artists and creators are keeping these cultures alive.
On Culture Cove, let's explore,
celebrate, and preserve the arts and culture that define us.
Welcome back. This is Timeline. Omokafi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. This has been a very interesting conversation, showing just how much digital divide can influence the haves and the have-nots in our various societies across the entire world, and also seeing how so many factors can come together to advance this particular phenomenon. Take, for example, COVID-19. Some people just think that we have gone past it, but COVID-19 brought about a lot of, challenges that people are still facing up until now. Students, young people, young girls, young men, older people, across ages and everything. But let's look at what people are saying on the internet as regards digital divide, bridging the gap. And this is from AC. And this person is saying 440 million offline in India alone. That's more than the population of the US. The digital divide is still one of the biggest global inequalities. This is emphasizing on what we've been mentioning since. Digital divide is one of the biggest factors that increases global inequality. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, once you do not have access to information, just the truth is there's an inequality gap. There's a gap between those that have access to information. Like I said, information makes the world go round, right? So when you do not have that information, what do you work with? So I think it's an issue.
Okay, let's look at the next one. This is from World Bank Nigeria. It says more than 900 million people in Africa remain offline. Bridging the digital divide democratizes access to education, health, financial services, and markets. It reduces inequality, empowers communities, and creates millions of jobs. While you were talking, you had mentioned the fact that when we have information in the digital space, do we have people who go to farms? Do they have access to this information? And so we have to be able to ensure that these people are able to access the internet space, able to access phones, digital tools to also get the information that is needed to empower each of them.
Yeah. Empowers community. You see, these days you hardly see market women that do not have OPay accounts. Now, imagine a farmer that has OPay accounts and have access to a digital device, you wouldn't just be able to sell your products, but you would also know the right amount to sell. So because most of these farmers, they sell very cheap to the middlemen, and because they do not have access to information and they do not know how to even make their products to be able to export their products. So imagine a farmer that have access to digital devices, they already have access to information, they know what they need to do and who they need to meet, or what documents they need to have to be able to make whatever products they have exportable. And that would open another market for the
So what you're basically saying that just giving of digital device and making internet available is not enough. Digital literacy should be part of it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Definitely. Okay, let's take a look at our last tweet before we go. And this one is from Citizens Advice, Bromley. Says the digital divide is real. New insights reveal that 61% of individuals feel there is insufficient support for those unable to connect online. Together, let's advocate for initiatives that empower everyone to thrive in the digital era. We have to come together to empower that.
All right, we are wrapping up right now. You know, we've talked about the digital divide. We've talked about the gaps that needs to be filled. We've talked about what the government needs to do. We've talked about the need for digital literacy and all of that. Now, I'm throwing that question to you, Amina. In the future, let's take 5 years, for instance. After all, the SDG,
2030.
we're looking at 2030 to see that we leave no one behind. And of course, this is part of it. What do you hope to see in 5 years to come in regards to bridging the gap of digital divide?
So, for me, I would say one, advocacy. We need to intensify advocacy around digital divide. We need to make people understand that, yes, the fact that you have access to this information now we're talking, some people do not have access to it, and it is an issue. It is a challenge. We want not just our voice to be heard here. We want our voices to be heard in the global world. And when you say the global world, we mean even those in the grassroots should have a voice, and their voice should be heard as well. In the next 5 years, I would want to see in Nigeria whereby I will travel to a community like Zaki in Bauchi State, and a market woman with her small business has a phone connected to the internet.
Interesting. Now, you said Nigeria. Let's now bring it to the globe. So what would you want to see?
So yes, globally, we have the digits. So the figures is 2.6 billion individuals without access to digital devices. In the next 5 years, let's bring it down to maybe 1 billion.
I would like to even say million.
Well, let's hope that will be achievable. 2030 is by the corner.
Yes.
We're going to archive this and come back to it. Thank you so much, Amina. This has been such an insightful conversation.
It is a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, that's where we draw the line on timeline. Remember, access to internet is not a luxury at this point. It's a necessity and is essential, right, Omokafe?
Definitely. I would like to say that it is also very possible. So we have to all come together to ensure we have to advocate for it, that it comes to pass.
Until next time, see you again.